My name is Bill Keegan. I'm with Durham Geo Slope Indicator, and I am going to explain to you how to remove a burette from a panel, how to disassemble it, clean it, reassemble it, and place it back on the panel. Panels after 1986 or 7 will have this type of connection on it. Before that, they were bolted actually to the panel. To remove the burette from the panel, simply take a 9/16 wrench, loosen the brass nuts on the back of the burette. Of course, I've already loosened these, makes it easier for me. Once all the nuts are released, the burette simply comes right off, just like that. Now, I'm going to take a new burette and I'm going to show you how to disassemble. In order to disassemble a burette, make sure you have a clean flat surface. That's important because of you don't want the end blocks twisted. You'll need a 9/16 wrench to remove it off the panel. You'll need a 7/16 wrench and a crescent wrench to remove the tie rods, and you may need a flathead screwdriver. Very simply, you just loosen the tie rod nuts on both ends. Note how tight they were. They're not normally tightened down much, so don't over tighten these when you put it back together. Now here's where you need to be a little cautious. Try to remove 2 nuts on one end of the burette. You simply slide the bottom and the top apart. Be careful of your tube on the inside. And there it goes. You have disassembled the burette. Now, if you need to calibrate, simply measure the inside of the pipette, the distance between the marks, and your inside diameter on both ends and take an average. Same thing with the burette. If you want the volume, you measure the inside of the burette, you measure the outside of the pipette, remove that volume from the burette, and you have your volume of the fluid inside less the pipette. Now we're going to reassemble the burette. Make sure that all of your O-rings, there should be 2 in the bottom and 1 in the top. The larger one is also in the top. What we'll need to do, make sure you have a flat surface. You want to place the burette on with the stripe toward the fittings in the back. Your pipette with the 25 milliliter on the bottom. Use caution here. You can use your finger to move it around till you get it in place. We'll adjust this in a minute, the direction of the increments. Assemble this in the same order that you removed it. In an upright direction, just like this. Make sure that your O-ring's in the top. Okay. Now you want to make sure that the pipette is in its place. Here, you want it centered. Holding these together, set it on a flat surface. Once you get the 2 ends in place, make sure that your stripe is in line with the fittings on the back. Make sure that when the rods are pressed from the top, you have enough thread on the bottom. 2 or 3 threads is sufficient. Loosely tighten the nuts, making sure that the blocks are parallel. At this point, you want to recheck your pipette, make sure it's in alignment in the center. Tighten these gently, do not over tighten them. It doesn't take a lot of force for this to be in place. Make sure that they're flat, otherwise they won't fit on the panel correctly. Not a lot. Now, As you can see, the burette is reassembled. The pipette is probably loose in there. Don't worry about that just yet. Check your O-rings. When an O-ring is sealed, it'll be a darker color and wide. Okay, once you get the nuts tightened on the tie rods, you'll want to realign your pipette so that the increments are to the front. Use a pen or a pencil, simply put it in, realign your increments. You gotta keep it in the bottom hole. Get them to where you can read them. Place your spring in, and then you'll want to tighten your plug on top. Sometimes the pipette will rotate. If it does, just take it apart and realign it. And that's the reassembly of the burette.